everyone, Miko here with Behavior Analyst Supervisor. Thank you for joining us for our free Wednesday Zoom calls. Here you're watching on YouTube, but you could also join us on Wednesday. If you're interested in the link to these calls to join live, feel free to send us an email at info@behavioranalystsupervisor.com. You can also just check out our Instagram. We post questions every single day on Instagram. We also post the link to our free Zoom calls. Every Wednesday, we go through a different task list item area, such as A1. We'll talk a little bit about that task list item, and then we'll go through 3 mock exam questions relating to that task list area. We hope that this provides an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about the task list and also dive deep into question dissection. We here at Behavior Analyst Supervisor really focus on providing explanations on why an answer is correct and why it's also incorrect. So we appreciate that you joined us. If you have any questions throughout the duration of this video, feel free to shoot us an email, hit that like and subscribe button for more information. Also, you can always leave a comment and we'll be sure to reach back out to you. Thanks again, and I'm Miko with Behavior Analyst Supervisor. You'll also be hearing from Amy and Kevin. Talk to you soon.
Hey everyone, Miko here with Behavior Analyst Supervisor. Welcome to another installment of our Thursday free Zoom. So today we're going through staying on the theme of ethics, and today we'll be talking through multiple relationships. So a few quick announcements before that, just so y'all know, we have a Breakdown the Beast coming up on the 10th of June. We also have our next task list weekend review coming up in June as well. That'll be on June 24th and 25th. So you are all more than welcome to attend that. And you can even use the discount code PASS if you're not one of our All You Need Guaranteed folks. If you ever have questions, we do ask that you send us an email. We're happy to help you out. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is I have myself and Katie. So I am the Director of Customer Support and obviously a BCBA here at BAS. I help create a lot of the mock exams and whatnot. But I also tutor, and so does Katie, who's another one of our tutors. So we have a group tutoring session every Sunday, typically around 4 p.m. If you're interested in jumping into a group tutoring session with us, it's $35 a session. So we just wanted to make that available to y'all. So just send me an email if you're interested and we can get you set up with that. If not, keep enjoying the free Wednesday Zooms because we're here to help you pass. So let's do it. I'm going to turn my video off and get started. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to get rolling. All right. Ethics, multiple relationships. We're also going to be talking about sexual and romantic relationships. So those are the 2 things that we'll be focused on. As y'all know, I'm a big proponent of reading the code because we can't really answer something unless we relate back to the code. So I'm going to take you straight to the code first off, and then we will get into some questions. The first one is 1.11. This is one of the codes that you should memorize. Like most of it, as long as you're familiar, you'll be totally fine. This you certainly should memorize. Actually, both of the ones that we're going over today, I would recommend you memorize. So 1.11, multiple relationships. A multiple is the same as a dual relationship. So if you see dual, it's just an AKA. Dual means more than one. Multiple obviously means more than one. So that's that. Because multiple relationships may result in a conflict of interest that might harm one or more parties, behavior analysts avoid entering into or creating multiple relationships, including professional, personal, and familial relationships with clients and colleagues. Behavior analysts always communicate the risks of multiple relationships to relevant individuals and continually monitor for the development of multiple relationships. If multiple relationships arise, behavior analysts take appropriate steps to resolve them. When immediately resolving a multiple relationship is not possible, behavior analysts develop appropriate safeguards to identify and avoid conflicts of interest in compliance with the code and develop a plan to eventually resolve. So here, what we're saying is we don't typically engage in multiple relationships. If we can avoid them, we should avoid them. That is exactly what this is saying. So whenever possible, we want to stop ourselves or avoid a multiple relationship from happening. Now, if a situation arises where we are engaged in a multiple relationship, then we need to do everything in our ability to avoid or to terminate that multiple relationship. So that's 1.11, super important. Now we look at another very important one, 1.14, romantic and sexual relationships. This one is a little bit confusing. So we're going to go slow, and I'm going to explain a couple of things as we go through it. Behavior analysts do not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with current clients, stakeholders, trainees, or supervisees because such relationships pose a substantial risk of conflicts of interests and impaired judgment. Behavior analysts do not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with former clients or stakeholders for a minimum of 2 years from the date of the professional relationship has ended. So this is stakeholders, this is former clients. A stakeholder could be a caregiver, could be a teacher, could be a doctor, it could be someone else involved in the client or involved with the client. We do not engage in a sexual or romantic relationship with them for at least 2 years after the date the professional relationship ended. So that's the first part. Behavior analysts do not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with former supervisees or trainees until the parties can document that the professional relationship has ended. So if we want to date someone with whom we have worked, we just need to end the relationship. There's no more 2-year policy. It's just literally, you are no longer my supervisee. Now we can go ahead and go on a date, right? That's all that is required. Now there's a second half of that. Behavior analysts do not accept as supervisees or trainees individuals with whom they have had a past romantic or sexual relationship until at least 6 months after the relationship has ended. So here we have two things. First, I work with you, I fall head over heels in love with you, I want to go on a date with you. We simply cannot be supervising each other any longer. Document it, sweet, we can go out, all is good in the world. Now, we dated. Now you're like, hey, I want to become a BCBA. And so I'm like, sure, I can supervise you, but we have to break up and wait 6 months. So that is the difference. Make sure you know that finite detail. It's very intricate. It's a little bit confusing, but you have to know the nuanced differences there. So those are the two important parts of the code we're going to refer to. We have 3 questions that we're going to go through, and I do have another code item that we'll talk about, and then I'll open it up for questions. But without further ado, let's jump into our first scenario question of the evening. Or afternoon, I guess, if you're on the Pacific Coast. But you currently work for a large corporate behavior analysis company overseeing the supervision of other behavior analysts. So we're assuming you're a behavior analyst. You also supervise other behavior analysts. You have fallen madly in love with one of the other analysts that you supervise. After checking the company handbook, you find that employee relationships are acceptable. What, if anything, must you do in order to ask the other analyst on a date? A, nothing, shoot your shot. B, you must transition this person to a different supervisor. C, you are not ethically able to ask them on a date until 2 years after the supervisory relationship has ended, supervisory. Or D, you are not ethically able to ask them on a date until 6 months after the supervisory relationship has ended. Put your answer in the chat, A, B, C, or D. Please chat me directly. All right, so we have a lot of different answers here. So remember, if you're getting this question incorrect, it just means that you're not quite familiar enough with the code. So I'm seeing a couple of Ds, I'm seeing a couple of Cs, I'm seeing a couple of Bs, and I'm seeing a couple of As. So I'm going to go back to the code. So I'm actually going to go backwards in the PowerPoint. I'm going to go back to the code. Here, behavior analysts do not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with former supervisees until the parties can document that the professional relationship has ended. So now let's look. You work at a large corporate company, you supervise other analysts, you've fallen in love with the other analyst, you can date them based on the handbook, but ethically, what must we do? Well, ethically, we just need to transition the person to a different supervisor. That's all we need to do. Remember, The code says, in order to date someone with whom we have had a supervisory relationship with, we simply need to no longer supervise them. That makes B the best answer. C is not the answer because C refers to clients and stakeholders. This is referring to a supervisee. D is not the answer because you don't have to wait 6 months if you have, so the 6 months, and let's go back to the code. The 6 months is behavior analysts do not accept as supervisees or trainees individuals with whom they've had a past romantic or sexual relationship with. So if I'm working with someone, if I'm dating someone and then they want to apply and work at this company, they need to wait 6 months until after I'm done dating them. But this is not the case. This is, we work with someone who we want to go on a date with. We simply need to transition them off the case. And then I wanted to bring up something from the glossary of the code. A supervisee, because some of us identify supervisees simply as like RBTs. That's not the case. A supervisee is any individual whose behavioral service delivery is overseen by a behavior analyst within the context of a defined, agreed upon relationship. Supervisees may include RBTs, BCABAs, and BCBAs, as well as other professionals carrying out supervised behavioral services. So once again, this is what a supervisee as defined by the code. If you're confused about any terms within the code, go to the glossary. It's in the intro. And it's very clear. It provides some understanding of what different things mean. So, all right, any questions about that? Great, let's continue to the next one. You work as a behavior analyst in an extremely rural, I struggle with that word, in an extremely rural location. This location has limited resources, no internet access, and you are the only analyst in the area. Your neighbor's son has been diagnosed with autism. The child that has been diagnosed is also your child's best friend. They have asked you to provide services for them as you are the only provider that is available. What should be your response? A, I appreciate you thinking of me, but this would be a multiple relationship according to my ethical code. We can begin services as soon as we sign a contract. We should develop a compartmentalized plan that allows me to serve your child without impacting our friendship until another analyst can be found. D, to ethically work with you, we would need to end our friendship and our children would not be able to see each other again. Are you okay with this? All right, just a couple answers in the chat. I'm gonna wait for a few more. Cool. It seems like about half of you are picking A, the other half are picking C, and then a few people have B and D. So I do have choices for everything, but it looks like we're mostly split between A and C. So let's go back to the code once again. Sorry for all the clicking between things. Okay, so the code says behavior analysts, because multiple relationships may result in a conflict of interest that might harm someone or parties, behavior analysts avoid from entering in or creating multiple relationships. So that's the first part. However, it says if multiple relationships arise, behavior analysts take appropriate steps to resolve them. When immediately resolving a multiple relationship is not possible, behavior analysts develop appropriate safeguards. I would say this is a situation where avoiding it is not possible. We have a client that needs services. Is there a way that we can provide services until we can find another analyst? So I think C is the most appropriate answer in this case. Now, this is where the essence of the code is, or the gray area. A is a mostly fine answer. However, then we leave a client unable to receive services. You're the only analyst in this rural area. I would also need to know how close of friends you are. because there's some friendships that you can't develop a compartmentalized plan. But if you can, and it is an option here, then you should. And you should also have a plan to get another analyst on the case. So maybe you can find a supervisee, maybe you can work to have some sort of internet connection installed. Those aren't things we're worried about, but I'm just telling you in real life, these would be things that I'm considering. Now, if your friendship is too close and there's absolutely no way that you can develop this compartmentalized plan, then certainly A should be the answer. But once again, if it's the only way, right, the code says we need to develop appropriate safeguards. This would be what I would consider an appropriate safeguard. And again, it's a little bit of the gray area, but we always want to think client first. And the best thing for this client is to provide them the services they need. Obviously, we have to do that in an ethical manner, and that ethical manner can be considered using some sort of safeguards, whether that's a compartmentalized plan or something else. So cool. That was a tough one. All right, one more, y'all. Which of the following most closely resembles a dual or multiple relationship? Working as a clinical supervisor along with your wife, who is a clinical supervisor at the same clinic as you. Hiring a pressure washing company. Hiring a pressure washing company and then finding out that one of your supervisees works at this company when you see them washing your home. Providing pro bono services to a specified number of clients each year. House sitting for your boss and behavior analyst who also supervises you. When I first wrote these, I was like, wait a minute, are multiple of these? Maybe, maybe not. All right, so we are in pretty close agreement that D is the answer we want to go with, and I would agree D is the answer. So a multiple relationship, you can certainly work with your wife as long as they don't supervise you or you don't supervise them. That's totally fine. So that's not a dual relationship. You hired a pressure washing company. You had no clue your employee worked for them. If you knew your employee worked for them, you could still use the company, but you should obviously try not to get your employee on your job. Now, again, if you're going through this company, there's not really a dual relationship. Now, if your employee is giving you a discount or something like that, then it's a dual relationship. But as written, you didn't even know about it until you showed up at home. So that's okay. Providing pro bono. Pro bono means free services. You can do this. So the code actually says, and I'm going to go through that next, that you can provide pro bono. So I'll get to this in a second. We should not house sit for our boss. I know as tempting as it is, as much as you may have supervised for your boss or dog sit, house sit, whatever, technically this would be a dual relationship. You supervise them and they're providing a service to you as a favor or whatever. This most closely resembles a dual relationship. We should try to stay away from those if at all possible. Now, let's talk about pro bono services real quick. So this is our bonus code for the day, 3.05 financial agreements. Before beginning services, behavior analysts document agreed upon compensation and billing practices with their clients, relevant stakeholders, and or funders. When funding circumstances change, they must be revisited with these parties. Pro bono and bartered services are only provided under a specific service agreement and in compliance with the code. So pro bono and bartering, we are allowed to do. We just need a specific service agreement. So that means a second contract, and we need to remain compliant with the code. Just meaning that it's fair, it's equitable, everything is by the book. So that one was a little bit confusing with me when I first learned about it, but it's what the code says. All right, let's do this. So does anyone have questions? I have everyone's name into our fancy wheel of names. So I'm going to go ahead and spin that now while y'all either type out or ask your question. There's a couple people that jumped on towards the middle. So let me make sure y'all are in here. 2, 3. Okay, got it. All right, spinning. Our winner from today is all right. So this is iPhone. Who's on the iPhone? Just iPhone by itself, no name. Let me chat them and see if they can see me, hear me. Let's see. Okay, I just chatted the person on the iPhone. If you see the chat, please.
Hi, Megan, sorry. It's me, Dinairis Paredes. I'm
Dinah,
sorry.
yeah, you're good. No, Dinah, can you send me an email, please?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thanks, Dinah. I'm gonna put a mini mock into your account, okay?
Thank you so much, Megan.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome. All right, cool. All right, y'all, let me turn my face on. Let me answer some questions. There's someone asking about the Instagram question from today. So I'd be happy to go to Instagram and talk to you a little bit about the answer. So let me even look at what the question is. Profile. Cool. Today's Instagram question. Oh, this is a good one. All right, let's look. It says, rate is an extremely powerful measure of behavior as it provides a clear picture of the behavior. When using rate, which of the following would be least or not appropriate? So you might be able to use it, but you might not. Oral reading during free time. Oral reading during free time, you could say you read 12 words per minute. Free time means you're free to read, you're free not. So that's a free operant behavior. That's totally fine. You can use rate for free operant behaviors, oral reading. Each word has a beginning and end. It's discrete. That's fine. Miles ran during gym class. Also totally fine. 12 miles per gym class. As long as you're free to do it, obviously. It can't be like you can only run when the whistle blows, because rate cannot be a discrete trial. It has to be a discrete behavior, but it can't be a but it cannot be a discrete trial. So it must be discrete behavior, clear beginning and end. Can't be discrete trial, meaning you can only respond when there's an opportunity. Pictures identified when they are presented. When they are presented, that makes this a discrete trial. C is the answer. You cannot use rate with discrete trials. Math tests, math questions written for a test. This says written. So if you are from Canada or somewhere that uses written as taking a test, I apologize. I didn't think about that. I thought of this in my kind of selfish American way where like I'm writing the questions for the test. So if you thought this was taking a test, I give you a pass. But if you use this as like you writing the questions, then that's you can do that. Like I can write 12 questions per minute for a test. Sometimes I track how many mock exam questions I write in an hour. So that's why that is. But I just thought about that. I was tutoring people from Canada, and when they sit for the test, they say they're writing the test. So if I don't know if any of y'all are from Canada, but that's what my friend said. Okay, pro bono, what would that look like in a question? It would just say that you've created a contract and you're providing a scholarship or providing free services for whatever reason. Usually it's a scholarship, but it could be for any reason. You just need to have a specific contract. You would need to ensure that it's fair, how you deliver it, how you choose who gets it, all of those things. Here in Florida, we have this thing called the Gardner Scholarship, which provides free services. So, well, it's a scholarship, but same difference. Cool. Other questions?
So the question that you just said, the one that was from Instagram, the last one you're saying is rate?
It can be, yeah, questions written for a test. So if I'm creating a test and I write, 5 questions per day, that's a rate.
But it doesn't say about the day or time or anything. It response per time.
Yeah, so it says which of the following would, when using rate, which of the following would not or be least appropriate. So this isn't asking which one is a rate, it's asking which one we can't use a rate for. So even when I look at C, pictures identified when they are presented. There's no time period there either, right? So if you pick that and that was your reasoning, then you should have had 2 answers and you shouldn't have been able to pick.
Yes, that's what I see.
Yeah, but math questions written for a test, you could, and it doesn't say which is a rate, right? It says when using rate. So this is saying which behaviors would you not be able to use a rate for, right? So there's the verbiage is a little different there. Does that make sense?
Okay, got it. Yes, thank
Yep, cool. You're so welcome. And y'all, you really do have to pay attention to those like little words. And we try to ensure that we do that in our mock exams and on our questions on Instagram. We try to keep everything kind of consistently, either difficult. Most people think it's difficult, but we try to keep our questions consistent. So that way you're really working on that dissection piece. So we do have mock exams, all of those things. You can use the discount code PASS if you're interested. Otherwise, just keep coming to the free Wednesday Zooms. You can always send me an email if you have questions. So I hope these are helpful as always. We'll keep doing them as long as they're helpful. As soon as they become unhelpful, we'll stop doing them. So we hope it's helpful. All right, y'all, take it easy, and I will talk to you soon.